Well, hello, Facebook family. Hello, everyone. My name is David Munoz, and welcome to the Su Buena Salud Facebook page. Today, we're going to talk about a subject that's very near and dear to a lot of guys, either because you've thought about it or because it's so far away that you don't have to worry about it. But either way, it's an important topic about erectile dysfunction. And really, the topic is why women worry more about ED than men. And we're going to learn a little bit more about that and why they worry more. And with me today, I have my good friend and colleague, Arnold Brod, who is an individual that works with me in the cardiovascular field and health and wellness. Arnold, welcome to Su Buena Salud channel.
Well, thank you very much, Dave, for having me here. I'm really glad to be here, especially on this important topic.
Yeah, it's exciting to have you because I know you've been working on it for years and you have shared, and really more on the other side, a lot of men have shared with you their frustrations about this particular topic. And I know that we certainly aren't doctors, neither you or I. We're not here to ask men to discontinue treatment if they're under the supervision of a medical professional. We're just here going to have a conversation. We're going to share what our experience has been in the last few years in working with guys that have that concern. And really, in my case, I work with a lot of ladies that call me because they're worried for their men. And that's one of the reasons I want to make this presentation. So let's jump right in. Thank you, everyone in Facebook who is participating or at least viewing it. If you want to add some comments, I'll look at the comments that you're making here on the Facebook stream. If you have questions, we'll be glad to address them as we move on. So if the topic, of course, is why women often worry about ED more than men, and how many Americans really underestimate how men are impacted by impotence. We'll be talking about why it's a problem, two, what causes it, possible causes, three, what men try to do to try to remedy it, and of course, for what our experience has been, what works, what doesn't work, and of course, just give you some advice about what you might be able to do based upon what we've done. And Arnold, I'm going to be asking you some questions about some of these slides and just give me your feedback on them. One of them, the first one right here, is according to the American Journal of Medicine, the prevalence of ED among men. It's really over 18 million men in the U.S. Have, let's say, some form of erectile dysfunction, and it's a real big problem. Now, I know you've been working with a lot of guys through the years, Arnold. What age group are the ones that usually call you?
That's really interesting, David, because I've been doing it for a number, like you said, bunch of years, and I have a website called Healthy at 60 Plus, and it was that because guys would call me with ED issues, and they would be 60, 65, 70, 75. That was the usual age. But as we've been going through the years, what's happened is that I've been getting about half of my guys are under 60, half are over 60. It used to be 80, 90% was over 60. Now I'm talking to guys as young as 40 who have ED issues. So
it's interesting. It's so interesting you're saying that because I've had the same experience with individuals calling me. I've had even people that are still quite young in their 40s, mid 40s. And they have shared with me that they have that concern. And so it seems to be really a condition that is getting all the ages. So quite a bit, from 40 to 60 to 70.
Yep. And the older you get, the greater the percentage of men having ED is. So when you get to 60 or 70, now you're talking about 50% of guys as opposed to 18 or 20% that you were showing.
A lot of the people that have heard me on the radio on Su Buena Salud channel or here on Facebook, they'll call me for reasons like either, physical conditions, blood pressure or medications, and they'll share with me eventually, after they've gone over some of the conditions they have, which is cardiovascular health, they finally get to the point that their ED is their primary concern. So if you'll go over this list for me, tell me a little bit about your experience when they talk to you about some of these issues that we see on the screen.
Well, when the guys call me, they're really concerned about ED, having an erection, and how it's affecting their marriage, and how it's affecting their general sex life. But the sad thing is that usually they've been dealing with this 5 or 10 years before they really start doing something about it. And what's happening is that they're starting to feel really bad about themselves. Some people are in depression. I've had many guys tell me that their marriage is broken up. So there's a lot of things going on. A lot of guys will say, my wife thinks I'm having an affair because we're not having sex, but it's not, it's not that. So there's a lot of psychological issues along with having ED, caused by the ED, in guys' general thinking. But a lot of times, and this is strange or sad, is that I might be the first person they've actually talked to about this. So there's a whole fear of bringing it up, and certainly, bring it up to their doctors.
And I want to mention that the reason that I'd say in your case, Arnold, you have had the opportunity to discuss this very, very personal subject with so many guys is because your YouTube channel, Healthy at 60 Plus, is really catered to that particular concern in an individual's life. And you've published really numerous videos, and we'll share that with the Facebook audience in a few minutes where they can get more information. But you were mentioning the guys come to you, and you're almost the first person they talk about it, and it's very, very tough because it is getting ready for sex really involves a lot of factors. It's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's stimulating. And when all that seems to be in place for guys and they can't perform, this is what happens. And they've shared that with me. They just said, Dave, I think I'm ready to go, and all of a sudden it's not working. So what we want to do is share that. So the guys, if I could say you're not alone, there's a lot of people out there that they're looking for solutions. Now, some of the things that cause problems in ED has to be this list you see here. For example, if we don't carry a good diet, we may be obese. That may be an issue. Stress at work, that they just can't get their minds in the right frame of mind. And tell us a little bit about the disease part, Arnold. You had so many videos about that.
Well, there's a couple of, you can divide disease part in I guess, two different areas. One are diseases such as MS, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, prostate cancer surgery. Those are diseases that certainly affect a man's sexual response. They're really highly medical issues. Diseases that affect erections also are high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol issues. Along with high blood pressure, we're talking about arterial stiffness, arterial plaque. All of these are primarily lifestyle concerns, and they can be addressed through diet, exercise, weight management, supplementation.
Right, and if you are under the care of a professional doctor, please follow the instructions of your Medicare medical professional. However, what I would mention is we do have medications here as one of the categories which may cause ED concerns or may cause ED. So work closely with your doctor in time, wean yourself away from medications so that you can then have less of a problem with the ED due to medications you're taking. For example, blood pressure medications, I've heard, is sometimes contributes to that.
Blood pressure medication definitely contribute to that. Another one that contributes to that is Propecia, which was for baldness, is a finasteride, which is the medical term for it, which is also used for enlarged prostate. Has an ED issue to it, and not only does it have an ED issue to it, but it has a libido issue to it, meaning that your desire for sex goes down. And many medications, the side effects go away when you stop taking it. This particular medication, the side effects can last for a year or more after you stop taking it.
Right. So something to note. Just I want to say one last thing about the graphic there you see with the doctor. If the doctor ever asks you that question, are you having problems maintaining an erection? You shouldn't be offended because it could be a lot of underlying issues that they're looking for that could be contributing to the ED situation.
Yeah.
So many men are unaware that health issues can be a factor in ED, and that's why many women will worry more about erectile dysfunction than men because they see their man different health-wise. They don't necessarily are concerned so much about the ED as much as the person's health. Yeah, so your significant other, your wife, your partner will sometimes detect that. Let's talk about this slide, what some of the guys try, Arnold, just to address it. We know that the top slide, of course, it has the urethra, the male anatomy per se, and we know that circulation has a lot to do with a successful erection. So a lot of guys try to simulate that some of that stuff on the bottom. Why don't you talk to us?
Okay, certainly. Well, there are two areas to work with ED. One is basically called symptom relief, what I call symptom relief, and the other is addressing the underlying cause of the ED issues. So symptom relief is you go to your doctor. This is what 95%, maybe more of the guys tell me. They go to the doctor, they say, I got an ED issue. Now also you have to remember your doctor visit might be 10 or 15 minutes. You're really not going to get a whole history and a whole explanation of what's going on. In fact, most of the guys that I talk to say, I've never heard of this before. My doctor's never told me this. This is all brand news to me. But anyway, most of the guys, symptom relief is to help with the immediate symptom. So for instance, if you have a headache, you take an aspirin, the headache goes away. But suppose you have a headache every single day. You don't want to take an aspirin every single day. So generally, symptom relief is ED meds like Viagra, Cialis, Levitra, those kind of things. Everybody's familiar with them. When they stop working, the next is shots, penile shots. They have some downside. I mean, everything has some downside. Medication has downsides, but some of the downsides of shots are if you use it over a long period of time, you're puncturing the wall of the penis, and you can get something called Peyronie's disease, which is a curvature of the penis because scar tissue forms within the penile shaft. So that's a method. Penile pumps. Another method is a fairly drastic method is surgery, implants. So those are, the symptom relief part.
Okay, well, I wanted to share one more. I'm sorry, Arnold, I'm having a little bit of audio issues here, but I wanted to share something here with you regarding this next slide that's going to be coming up. This one here, that I know I want you to just add a little comedy, a little humor here with the effects of the let's say the Viagra type pills that they use. And what you're saying also is when they use these medications or these outside sources, it can have secondary effects. And that's a risk that many men will take.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely familiar about that.
Yeah. And usually the guys that have called me have run the course of the Viagra or Cialis or whatever. So they've started at a low dose and they've gone to a really high dose, and it's either not worked or it's stopped working. And the reason it stopped working is because they don't address the underlying issues. They just work on symptom relief, where the underlying issues over time keep getting worse. So I like to, I call ED, it's like the check engine light in your car. If the check engine light goes on, it means there's something going on under the hood and you want to figure it out. You want to take it to a mechanic. Taking ED meds is like putting duct tape over the engine light. So just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not still on, doesn't mean the underlying conditions aren't still there. To address the underlying conditions, you want to work on diet, lifestyle issues. All those things you hear all the time, things your mother told you, eat don't eat junk, eat good food, exercise, keep your weight, in a normal range. Don't drink too much, if you smoke, stop smoking. If you don't smoke, all those kind of things. Lifestyle changes are a little hard to maintain. I mean, how many New Year's resolutions have you made or I made and broken? So one of the things that I also recommend is supplementation, because that's a really good thing to add to that mix of lifestyle. If you smoke, stop smoking. If you don't smoke, all those kind of things. Lifestyle changes are a little hard to maintain. How many New Year's resolutions have you made or I made and broken? So one of the things that I also recommend is supplementation, because that's a really good thing to get that mix.
Great. Arnold, I want to move along to the next slide.
Move along.
Yeah. So true. So I'm having a little bit of move on to the next slide to see if you comment a little bit, Arnold. One of the things I want to know is what guys typically use. What are the solutions that we would recommend for this condition, and some of the things that we would, let's see. Here we go. Now, one of the things we talk about a lot is circulation, and it's so important because it has to do with something called nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is what we talk about a lot because your body depends on this miracle molecule, as I call it, called nitric oxide, in order to be able to improve blood flow. When you have enough nitric oxide in your blood, it helps heal the wall and the cardiovascular veins and arteries, your system, called the endothelium. And of course, the better the blood flow, it will actually help naturally improve your sex life, and as well as protect you from a lot of illnesses or potential illnesses like heart disease, strokes, heart attacks. It has a reparative mechanism. So it's really great that we can promote something that creates nitric oxide like something called peroxide. There's a great video. Make sure we see that the right video right here. It says how nitric oxides improve sexual function. If you want to know more about it, at the end of the presentation in the comment sections, I'll have a link for this particular video, which is really educational. It's really going to help a better understanding of how nitric oxide works. You need nitric oxide in order to help your blood flow and, of course, improve your sexual function. So let me just go over this slide really quick about the 3 major benefits of having something called nitric oxide in your bloodstream. The first benefit is that it helps relax the smooth muscle of the vascular wall, causing vasodilation. This is extremely important with people with high blood pressure. Why? Because when you have hardening of the arteries, when you have a lot of a poor blood flow, obviously your heart works harder, and it can, as a byproduct, cause high blood pressure. So it does help maintain the veins and arteries flexible. Number 2 benefit is that nitric oxide helps the platelets from sticking together. Basically, it's helps the grease and the plaque from building up on the walls of your veins and arteries called endothelium. So increased nitric oxide will help dislodge that and try to keep it as clean as possible. And number 3, talking about keeping it clean, your veins and arteries, dislodging the plaque. Number 3 would be it helps do a reparative mechanism, meaning that if you've had cardiovascular damage like what you talked about, Arnold, where the guys have talked to you for the first time and it has been happening to them maybe for years, it just gotten progressively worse. Well, that's because they have suffered damage to their arteries, their veins and arteries, their cardiovascular system is compromised. And nitric oxide helps promote a reparative mechanism that helps reverse the damage and get your veins and arteries from a hypertension state back to normal. Again, we're not doctors. However, if you want more information, do what I did. Do your own research on nitric oxide therapy. Look and study and see what nitric oxide therapy does, how it works in your bodies. And this science will be validated, especially since it was validated back in 1998 when the Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded to 3 American scientists for discovering that miracle molecule called nitric oxide and how it works in our bodies. Arnold, LArginine Plus is a wonderful product. It is the highest quality L-arginine supplement in the world. It's made by Nature's Sunshine, distributed by Synergy Worldwide. It's produced in the plant in the office of Nature's Sunshine Products. They have their own facilities, they have their own production area, and it goes to 262 verifiable quality assurance steps, meaning it's a quality product. In this COVID environment that we're living in, that means a lot because they do not have to outsource the production of this excellent product. They keep it in-house and they can supervise the quality. And of course, it's been recognized by Physicians Desk Reference for the last 7 years as the highest quality L-arginine supplement in the world, meaning that you're getting the best arginine, which is converted to nitric oxide, which helps blood flow. Arnold, the big question a lot of guys ask, and I'm going to ask you, how long do I have to take this stuff before it works? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I do get that a lot also. And there's a difference between symptom relief and repairing the underlying problem. So depending upon how long you've been living with this issue, there's going to be a period of time that your body is going to need to heal. And so everybody's different. Everybody heals at different rates. Some people just take ProArginine. Some of my customers just take ProArginine. Some of my customers take ProArginine and change their diet, they eliminate sugar, they eliminate salt, they eliminate all the junk foods, you know, Twinkie type kind of stuff. They exercise, they get their weight under control. So, you know, you have this varying thing going on between how long you've had it, what's your general physical condition, do you have other issues, do you have high blood pressure, you're taking medicine, do you have diabetes, you're taking medicine, do you have cholesterol, you're taking medicine. So, you know, it's almost impossible to give you an answer. However, I can say that getting the 90-day challenge, taking the 90-day supply, and taking that on a regular basis, you're going to get a lot of it into your system, and you're going to really get to see how you're going to improve. Will you get to where you want to be in 90 days? Probably not. But you're going to get to see there's a light at the end of the tunnel. For those few people that they may not see progress, the company gives you a 120-day money-back guarantee. So it's a win-win going forward.
Right. Well, that's great information. Now, Arnold, we're going to wrap this up. I think fantastic stuff that you've shared. I just want to give the audience just your contact information in case they want more information about your experience that you've had with so many guys throughout the years and calling you and taking LArginine Plus and going through nitric oxide therapy and seeing how it works for them. Here on the screen is your contact information, and of course, my Facebook followers have mine. If you were to say just maybe one last thing to our Hispanic community or our Su Buena Salud community that follows me, what would you advise them to do?
I would advise them to take control of their own health. Certainly work with your doctor, but don't let them dictate things to you. You want to be in control of your own health, and the more natural ways you can do it, the better off you'll be.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Arnold, for jumping on this broadcast with me. I appreciate your help and your participation, and thank you for all our Facebook followers. Any questions you have, please, you can inbox me or give us a call. Or if you want more information about nitric oxide therapy, like I said, after the broadcast, I'm going to put the links to the nitric oxide videos we mentioned here on the Facebook page, as well as information about LArginine Plus if you care to go that direction. Thank you again, Arnold.
Thank you, David.
Thank everybody for listening in. See you next time.